All right, going on with harmonization, we're going to start on page 70. Here, in example 3a, you're instructed to use either the 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 chords to harmonize the following melodies. The first one's been done for you, but let's go ahead and analyze it. So, again, I'd like to start with the key signature, 3 sharps. We're in the key of A major. Let's do a Roman numeral analysis. Again, all of these accompaniment patterns will be in root position. So we can just go by the roots. If it's an A, well, that's going to be the 1 chord. Here's the 5 chord. 1 chord to the minor 3 chord, 4 chord to the 5 chord, and to the 1 chord. Okay, so that's the Roman numeral analysis. Now let's do the chord analysis for the lead sheet symbol. So we're going to do this on top. 1 chord in A major is an A major chord. Okay, then we go to an E chord, back to the A chord, then to the C sharp minor chord, then up to the D chord. I'll write it down here. Then up to the E chord and back to the A chord. Easy like that. Once you've done that, then you can do a two-handed accompanimental pattern just like it's shown. This one's already been notated for you. They've given you kind of a pattern for this. So you just start in A position, up to E position, back to A position, C sharp minor, D, E, and A. And then just follow the rhythm. So it goes like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And the most important thing is you want to make sure that you've already mastered this exercise. And the parallel triads through dominant on each of the keys, C, D, E, F, G, and A majors, okay? If you've not mastered them, then this is going to be harder than it needs to be. So just go back and review those and practice them a bit more. Okay? So that's 3A. Pretty darn easy, especially if you've got your parallel triads down. All right, now let's take a look at this next one here. Notice how a lot of these are just two-handed accompanimental patterns where you're not even playing the melody. So you don't even need to practice the melody. You can just literally just use the melody as a guide to determine what chords you want to do. It's not about practicing the melody. It's about creating chords, a harmony, and then creating a two-handed accompanimental pattern for it. So let's take a look at the next one here. So on example B, you're asked to use quarter note durations. So that's critical. We want to pay attention to these specific instructions. Quarter note durations in a two-handed accompaniment. All right, so again, we're not going to play the melody. So the first thing we need to do is determine our key. We're in the key of G major here. I'm going to write that in. The next thing we need to determine are the chords. Well, guess what? Harmonies have been given. So again, they've made your life really easy. We have the 1 chord here and here. And we have the 5 chord in the middle. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to write the lead sheet symbols. So I want you to write this in all of your scores. So this will be a G chord. And then we go to the 5 chord in G major is, think about it. Yes, it's D, and then back to the G chord. All right, really simple. So how do we create a two-handed accompanimental pattern in quarter notes in 2/4 time? Well, we can just literally do this. So let's say left hand plays G, right hand plays the G triad, and just now break it up to quarter notes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now D. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Back to G. 1, 2. Just like that. That's all you have to do. If you want to do a different type of pattern, you're welcome to. But that's probably going to be the easiest. Just root position. Notice I'm just playing the root of the chord in the left hand to simulate a bass line. And the right hand is playing the root position triad. 1 chord and the 5 chord, and that's it. So that's B. Really, really simple. Now we're going to C. So We're going to do exactly the same steps. Now the accompaniment pattern is a bit different. It's a little bit more creative. It's given to us, but let's go through this together. So again, we want to determine our key, 2 sharps, D major. Notice we're not doing anything. I'll do this in blue again just for consistency's sake. We're not doing anything in minor keys yet. Okay? And now we want to determine chords, harmonies. Now this is where you can be really creative, right? And also based on the level at which you want to challenge yourself. If this is really hard for you, you can keep it simpler. If you're getting there and you want to challenge yourself a bit more, you can be a little bit more creative with your harmony choices. I'm going to stick with something kind of middle of the road, okay? Maybe slightly on the easy side. So let's say I start with a 1 chord here. I could keep it on the 1 chord all the way till I get to the B. Then let's do a 4 chord here. Okay? Here's our melody, and we can test this out. That's nice. And I can just go back to a 1. Maybe a 2 chord would be nice here. And maybe I choose to go to a 5 and leave it on 5 all the way to the end. Okay? That could be a relatively easy interpretation. You could do more changes, of course. But maybe we'll do one more arrangement as well. But let's look at what this would look like if you did this one. So in this version, D major, the 4 chord is G major, back to D major. The 2 chord is E minor, the 5 chord is A major, and then back to the 1 chord D major. Now the next step is to analyze this accompaniment pattern that they've offered us here. So let's see what's actually happening here. So if you really pay attention, both hands are playing the triad, right? The right hand is still just playing essentially the triad D, F sharp, A. The left hand is also playing D and A, but notice how it's omitting the 3rd. So we have the root of the chord and the 5th of the chord in the left hand, but no 3rd. Now why is that? In music, the lower you are in terms of registration, the muddier the sound becomes, right? So if I play 2 notes really close together up here, say D and F sharp, that sounds nice and clear. We can hear each note distinctly. Once I drop it here, it's starting to get hard to hear. Once I drop it another octave, it's muddy. It's not clear at all, okay? So rule of thumb, this is a really big rule, is generally speaking, if you want to maintain clarity in the sound of your compositions and arrangements, you want to write notes that are closer together when they're higher, but the lower you get in the piano, the more distant they become. And this goes for any kind of instrumentation. Maybe it's tuba, whatever, right? So fifths generally are about the smallest interval you can get away with on the lower registration of instruments, okay? That's pretty easy to hear. So we're going to use the same positioning where you have a triad and both hands. The only difference is the left hand is not going to play the 3rd. We're in 3/4 time, so it turns out that if we just do this particular fingering, and I can write this fingering for you, 5, oops, I want to change colors here, 5, 1, and the right hand plays 1, 3, 5, 3, like that. So 5, 1, 1, 3, 5, 3, like that. It fits 3/4, 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it's just like a little wave ascending from the bottom, then coming back down. And notice I use my damper pedal that we learned to use earlier too. So you're welcome to use that. So this is going to sound kind of interesting like this. So here I am playing just the accompaniment. I'm going to sing the melody so you hear how it overlays. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, Now maybe I want to do some more harmonic changes. Let's say that I like most of the chords I have. I'm just going to add some more chords now. So now let's change this. Let's do maybe even a 3 chord here, okay, which will be an F sharp minor chord, okay. And then let's maybe change this chord here to back to a 1 chord temporarily, which is a D chord. And then let's use the 2 chord, or yeah, sure, why not? We'll use the 2 chord here. So I'm making this more elaborate. E minor. Even though F sharp is in an E minor, it'll still work. And then it'll create a little bit dissonance for us, because then we'll want to hear the resolution to the 5 chord that we'll use here. So be creative with this here, okay? I could change some of my existing chords, but I'm choosing not to. So now let's hear how it sounds with the additional chords in the harmonization. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, nice. That worked quite well. So work on this page, be able to play all 3 examples that you have on this page, and then join me on the next page of your harmonization.